I'm at the Mansion Elan, a nightclub in Atlanta, to go to a party for a master illicit weed grower who's trying to make the transition into the legal marijuana industry.
In the ATL, that's my homeboy. Watch your back if you're gonna walk alone, boy. Cause everybody in the homeboys trying to get rich. You could get hit even if you're known, boy. We the kings of the South. Pies in the oven, grills in the mouths. Count stacks is the usual norm.
That looks amazing.
That's how you celebrate.
That's right. This must feel great, guys, right?
It feels absolutely great.
Well, cheers, guys.
Yeah, cheers.
To the future.
To the future.
Cheers.
Cheers. I just realized I can't sip.
As marijuana in the US has grown from an illegal subculture to a legitimate multi-billion-dollar industry, its image has undergone a radical transformation. Only 20 years ago, pot dealers were thought of as shady characters slinging dope in back alley deals. But now, trained bud tenders sell cannabis over shimmering glass counters. The kingpins of the past, who were targeted by the DEA and police, have been replaced by politically connected entrepreneurs openly wooing big-time investors. Sounds like great news, but lost in the optimism is a gaping racial disparity. A recent survey found that fewer than 1% of dispensaries nationwide are owned by African Americans. I want to see how the original players, the people who were dealers and growers who established the industry, are trying to break through into the legal side of the pot trade and close the color chasm of the green rush. So I've come to Atlanta, where weed is still illegal, to meet Kingston, a top grower who sells premium bud to pro athletes and hip-hop stars, to find out what the barriers are to going legit. Kingston's grow, like many in Atlanta, is hidden inside an ordinary-looking house in a middle-class suburb.
Watch your step. I never took nobody into these grow rooms, man.
Whoa. Oh, Jesus. That is a lot of weed in a tiny little room.
This is what you would call a secluded, hidden, indoor grow.
How many are in here?
This room, we got like 75.
Like, if this were just a normal house and not a grow house, what would this room be?
Right now, we're standing in the garage. This is the garage, though.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
railing for it.
But then you've sealed it up, like...
We've made it a wall.
Yeah.
So outside, you think it's a garage. But inside...
It's a lot of weed.
We got some Gorilla Glue on this side, GG4. And on this side, we got the new strains. You see the buds a little bigger.
Right there?
Right.
Yeah, they're huge.
This is the strain we're working on called the Gas House OG.
That's Gas House.
Yeah, you'll be addicted to it because the taste is so, it's perfect. This plant, look at it, it looks like it's two plants, but this is one plant, right?
Oh, yeah.
This was some things that I did to this tree called topping, filming, that made it grow off into different offshoots. It's just a study, something I've been practicing on for years, and this is a result of that. Because I don't use any pesticides. I'm gonna use natural products, skim milk, cayenne pepper.
Skim milk?
Yeah, skim milk.
You put milk into this?
Yeah.
And cayenne pepper?
Cayenne pepper to keep the pest away.
Why did you continue to do it even though it's been illegal for so long?
Man, there's nothing I've ever done in my life that makes me feel like what I'm doing right now.
Do your friends and family, do they know that this is what you do? Like, do you bring people around here?
No, because right now, the value of this crop can get us both killed. You know, you done heard of murders in grow houses. It's
Right.
very common.
Is that kind of hard, though? Because, like, what you said earlier is that you love doing this.
Right.
But you can't really tell anyone.
Yeah, so you're boxed in. So that's one of the reasons that it pushes me to go to a legal state.
To me, you're really good at growing weed. Like, you're doing really well. Why would you want to go legit?
Actually, I've been forced to go legit.
What do you mean?
If I sit back in the black market and continue to grow, I'm going to get squashed by the major companies because the major corporations are growing so much and making the prices go down that I'm forced to have a bigger grow versus a small room to help curb the loss in yield.
So you have to take more risk almost.
More risk, forced to take bigger risks. You need to grow more. I have friends that went to prison for doing this. People that taught me. These guys are the real pioneers of the industry, but we're losing them so close to legalization. And the laws in the South are some of the toughest laws in the land when it comes to marijuana. 100 plants or more, 20 to 40 years.
What?
Yes, 100 plants over 20 years or more.
Don't you have enough money from doing this on the black market to get a permit to move yourself out there to buy the land?
Let's do numbers. It's $5,000 for the licenses, this and that, you need lawyers. Then you have to go buy properties that are skyrocketing in prices. The minimum is $300,000 now. These greenhouses, you've seen the prices? One of those greenhouses is $70,000. Irrigation, thousands of dollars. Electricity gotta be ran. The soil price, we're talking $99 for 1 yard of soil. You might need a couple thousand yards of soil. Talking at least $500,000 for one person.
You're caught between two forces.
And you have to make a decision, you have to make it fast.
So the opportunities to get to the legal market are closing, and closing fast.
Real fast.
Because it's really competitive, is that why?
Very competitive. Me, being who I am, the challenge and seeing the license and seeing all these guys that are gonna become famous off this industry, I will, and I have to be one of those guys. But when I have to make a move now, or I'm gonna have to find something else to do.
With the weed industry expected to grow by over 250% by 2020, well-heeled investors from around the business world are hoping to cash in by funding weed startups. But growers like Kingston, who are forced to hide in the shadows, don't have access to those networks of venture capitalists, excluding them from one of the fastest-growing industries in America, which they themselves helped to create. But access to capital isn't the only barrier to the legal weed trade. Obtaining licenses necessary to start a cannabis business can be a tricky proposition. California is expected to go fully legal in 2016, which means marijuana licenses there are something of a golden ticket. So I'm going to Oakland to meet Desley Brooks, a city councilwoman who's proposed affirmative action legislation for granting city weed licenses, in the hopes of giving a leg up to the OG ganjapreneurs who want to go legit.
You know, I've sat on the council for 14 years. I wrote the cultivation ordinance for the city. I toured several cannabis operations. The only person that I saw who looked like me was the security guard in the parking lot. You cannot tell me we have no expertise in this industry. You cannot tell me that.
A lot of the movement towards legalization has been focused on the idea that the wrong people are going to jail for the wrong idea. And that feeling hasn't moved over into the commerce aspect of what legalization actually
Not at all. The ability to have money circulate in a community is vital. Communities of color have been locked out for a long time. When you think about the impact that the war on drugs has had in communities of color, people have lost their freedom, their relationships with their families. The effects ripple throughout a community, and so the ability to somehow change that dynamic is imperative.
The 4-decade-long war on drugs resulted in a significant racial disparity in who served time for illegal drugs. People of color are estimated to make up a third of drug dealers in the country. And yet, they comprise a startling 57% of drug offenders in state prisons and 75% in federal prisons. While the legalization of the marijuana trade could be a chance to extend opportunities to communities ravaged by the war on drugs, instead, most weed-legal states prohibit those with drug felonies from even participating. I guess there's like a cruel irony if the marijuana industry takes off and becomes a really huge profit center, and people of color are kind of shut out of it.
The people who are right out the gate in terms of setting up their businesses are going to be the successful ones. It's not going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, that we give somebody the opportunity. That's not a real opportunity. And the only way we can ensure that is that municipalities put things in place to ensure that there is equitable opportunity for all of our residents.
Fighting drones on the hilltops. It's rocking on them avenues. It's rocking. Yo, what we on, let me know if it's time, got my mind on the...
Across the bay in San Francisco, Josh Weiss and his friend Rich are two aspiring legal ganjapreneurs who tried to get the money together to start a legit business by stepping up their illegal weed distribution.
All right, I'm getting nastier though, so we'll do it every time. We'll see it. All right. Basically, we wanted to start our own company. We wanted to start Mirage, you know, a delivery service, brick and mortar. It We didn't even know really what it was going to be. We knew what it was going to be about.
It ended up being a big enterprise. It started off small.
Like, how did you start transporting pot across state lines?
It all started as a plan to get myself legitimized in the MMJ industry here in San Francisco, because there's no banks that are gonna give me that money.
How much money were you trying to get?
I wanted about $300,000 to $500,000.
So it's a little like ironic in a sense, because you had to like break the law in order to be in the legit scene.
It's Kafka-esque. And so I pulled together the only person I could trust, which was Rich. And we hit the road.
We brought it to places where they're literally going to make songs about how great the weed is, and they did not grow it there.
So how much? Like, how much stuff were you guys bringing around the country?
Multiple trips of over 100 pounds of weed.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, that's a lot.
I got it down to 4 days from San Francisco to New York City.
It's 4 days, yeah.
And then in New York City, I got arrested in possession of over 100 pounds of weed.
Wow.
Then they didn't want to let me out. They set my bail really high. They made it $500,000.
Wow.
And they said I was a kingpin.
So you got locked up in New York for a year?
Yeah.
Where'd you serve your time?
Rikers Island. It's worse than the newspaper reports. It's just an extraordinarily violent place, and violent and depressing.
So doing illegal stuff, like going to jail, that was because you wanted to be a legitimate
I just
weed
wanted to be
businessman.
legal.
Right.
That's it. I wanted to just get into the business and pay my taxes. Currently, at this very moment, I can't own a medical marijuana business.
Because you have felony record.
For marijuana.
For marijuana, nonviolent,
Yeah.
you're a nonviolent felon,
Yeah.
but you're not allowed basically to be part of the legitimate marijuana system here in California.
All I want is access to the industry that I have been in, where other people are gonna, have access to, especially considering that they're all breaking federal law.
Sure.
So, what's the difference between me and you? Just a piece of paper that says that I got caught. The irony, drug war 2.0. It's legal for these people, it's still illegal for you guys.
Although medical marijuana is legal in California, people with felonies for pot-related charges, even those that are nonviolent, are prohibited from participating in the legal industry. Josh is taking me to meet his sister Nina, who stepped up to take over his medical marijuana delivery service when he was put in jail at Rikers Island for marijuana distribution, suspending her career as a community organizer in the process.
Hi, you guys.
Hey.
Hello. Hi.
Hey, what's going on?
See you.
Hey, I'm
Hello.
Krishna.
Nice to meet you, Krishna.
So did you ever think that you'd be sort of running a marijuana delivery service? Is that in the grand plan for you?
It wasn't like in the immediate vision, but when your family gets into something, what do? Like, you show up.
Yeah.
So it was something that we had to face as a family. I mean, as far as all the work that he had put in, he's like, I have all the gear, I have all the permitting, I have all the packaging, I have the website.
Right.
I did not skimp.
He did not. He went all in, actually.
Right.
So how could you let something like that go? I had to find myself somebody that was willing to sell me a variety of top shelf strains. And
He didn't give you the connect?
how much can you really communicate when you're like on the phone with like
When they're recording
when they're
you.
recording you?
Right, they're recording you,
Yeah.
and you're in New York where it's illegal, so you can't be like, this is the pot business.
I would love him to be able to take over like the delivery service because I have dreams, But one thing at a time.
So how does the actual business work? Like, how do you order?
Come through and
How do you-
let me sign you up.
Sure.
You have a card? You have your script?
I have a recommendation.
Oh, you
yeah.
do? Okay. Go to miragemedicinal.com.
Okay.
Press the doctor's recommendation. Go into your photo library.
Oh, I get it.
Everything's in there, and then you press apply. And then we get it on the back end, make sure that it's a legitimate script.
Sure.
And then we're good to go.
Now in charge of the business, Nina had to learn the ropes of inventory control. Josh and I are accompanying her as she meets with some of her vendors, wholesale marijuana sellers. Whoa. To keep their delivery service stocked with the best weed. Something Josh is intimately familiar with. Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Yes, we're in California. So what are you guys sort of looking for? Take me through sort of the process.
It's the size of the bud, because for me, I have to photograph everything and make sure it gets up on the website.
And what else do you sort of do?
You gotta break it open.
Okay.
You gotta hear it, listen for the snap. Wow, it's perfect.
Right.
Nice and crispy, like a crouton, but it's still chewy on the inside.
Ooh, yeah.
Dang, that's perfect.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Why is some of these purple? kind of cool.
So this is another tree, actually.
It's like a midnight? What is that?
Yeah, it turned pure dark purple. Like the entire bud itself is black, just like that.
That would be very impressive to see an entire bag of it, at least, though.
And that might be like an exotic novelty.
That would be, yep,
on
exactly.
the menu, yeah.
Exactly. We like to work with growers that only have like, we want 3 pounds of this. And I'm like, cool, because no one else is gonna have it on their menu, and then they have to come to Mirage.
This is something I used to always do, but I was in jail for a year. So this is the first time I'm actually seeing this much tree, so it's it's bringing back old memories and stuff, but it's a brand new thing for me, man.
Yeah.
If I am caught with this bag of weed in my possession, potentially that's 1 to 4 years in prison.
Wow.
This is in California. I'm saying under legalization, this is what they wrote in the law. I can go to prison for something that my sister does legally on a daily basis.
Which really sucks because he's actually passionate about it and it's something that he really knows about. If I'm the only one that can hold the license, only one of us gets to live out our dream, you know? That sucks.
Yeah.
So in the event that my brother can't do Mirage, I will look at other options. But did I spend the past 2 years like building Mirage to like let it go? Definitely not.
While Nina is happy to hold the reins until Josh can take over again, she won't do it forever. If felony exclusion doesn't change, Josh could lose his business for good. All because he got caught chasing the cash needed to operate legally. I'm back in Atlanta, where Kingston has been growing weed illegally for 2 decades. But the rising challenges of illicit growing and seeing the legal business take off without him have pushed him to make a move. The costs of relocating to start a legit business are prohibitive. But he's found a backer in Atlanta nightclub owner and entrepreneur, Felix Murray.
You ready to make the move, Kingston?
Yeah, I'm ready, man. So we're going to Oregon. What's the overall plan when we get out there?
Get you situated. Need to identify a piece of property.
Right.
And then we'll go from there.
So the license process, we're gonna get a lawyer and stuff like that.
Already in place.
Oh, it's already in place? Okay, great.
Krishna.
Hey, how's it going?
How you
Felix?
doing? Come
Good,
in.
Man. Thanks, man. It's muggy out here.
Welcome to Georgia, baby.
Yeah. So how do you guys know each other? Like, how'd you meet?
Well, it's through a mutual friend. I was in California at a cannabis festival, and he pulled out some smoke, so smoked it. It's the best thing I ever smoked, you know? Like, where did you get this from? I want to go get it. He was just like, Georgia grown. And I'm like, Georgia grown? Hold up.
Did it surprise you that your pot got all the way to California?
That was very surprising. I mean, very surprising. I didn't know that a guy would actually take my pot from Georgia out to an event in California.
So what's next for you guys?
Well, we're going to go to Oregon. He's quitting everything here.
I've been my own man a long time. Now I have people I have to perform for now. So that's different. But I'm ready. I'm excited. A lot of anxiety now.
Wow. Well, it looks like you're packing up.
Yeah, been working, packing. It hasn't been easy. I can't wait to get there in the next couple of days. I had a chance to go out there and visit. I've seen the facility, and it's amazing that I'm going to be the master grower for that place. And it's just like, I'm so excited.
Are you sort of worried about any kind of like culture shock? The weed industry is different out there. Like everything's different.
Yeah, it's very different. And also, me being a minority, that also makes it a little bit more difficult also.
How do you mean?
People not used to seeing a guy like me. I always get that when I go into the circle in the cannabis world. Like, people really don't think I know cannabis until they smoke some of my product and they be blown away, you know?
And like you kind of described to me earlier, like the last 20 years you've been inside.
Right.
You know, secret grow houses, like boxed up. What's that gonna feel like to be able to sort of spread your arms out and be like...
Spread my arms out and maybe take this mask off one day? I'm not gonna miss the possibility of going to jail and living in a secret society and covering my face and being trapped inside the box. I am ready to come out of that.
Whoa! Oh yeah, that's how you celebrate. That's how you do it, baby.
To the future.
To the future.
Cheers.
Cheers.
This is such an important time. It's such an inflection point in how the industry is going to be made over the next 10 or 15 or 20 years. Diversity in the cannabis industry is something that I think everyone wants. The war on drugs was a tragedy that disproportionately affected people of color, which makes it even more sort of like tragically ironic that the state currently in the marijuana industry is so white. And as the world as we know it in business does not favor people of color, it takes someone like Felix who has the money, who has sort of the vision to get the talent from the illicit market, these like masterful growers, and bring them to the legal market. But Kingston is an exception. Most growers don't have a Felix to back them. And while he's found a path to legal growing, he's not running his own show. Josh was lucky enough that his sister could save his business, but he can't be a part of it. And when you see how knowledgeable he is and how diligently he set up his own operation, it's a shame that he can't be a part of shaping the industry in its next chapter. Councilwoman Brooks's bill, which ended up passing, could be a start to expanding the inclusion of the community that sacrificed so much for the last 40 years. And if it works in Oakland, it could become a model for other cities and states. Pot belongs to everyone. You know, it's something that is part of so many different kinds of cultures. But if something isn't done, that diversity, those different perspectives, will be whitewashed into a homogenized image. And that doesn't do justice to the very spirit of legalization.